Hey everybody, welcome back to All Things Johnny. Thanks for joining me. Before we go any further, like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. That'll tell you when I'm uploading new content. Trying to put something out every week right now during this busy, hectic time. You want to know how I did this? Check this out. Oh yeah, if you want to know how I did this, stay tuned. We're going to build that right now. Okay, if you know me at all, you know that I love John Deere equipment. But I had busted my top link. I had bent it with the flail mower. Unintentionally, of course. And to replace my top link from the John Deere part was something crazy like, 260 or 300 bucks or something like that, Canadian. And I was like, huh? Princess Auto, which is Canadians, Canada's version of Harbor Freight, I guess, if you're watching from the U.S. Yeah, $39.99, and it kicks butt. It works really good. I'm really, really, really happy with it. Works just fine. All right, let's get these side pins loaded on here. This is my favorite part. Gotta time lapse this so you guys can't see the struggle, because I don't want you seeing how much I struggle. I want everything on this YouTube channel to be really slick and for people to say, hey, how do you do that? Man, he's awesome. He really knows what he's doing. That's what I want in my YouTube channel. No struggle. There's no struggle in here, folks. All things Johnny. Having a little bit of trouble with this one just because my 3-point hitch is set up for the ballast box. So we're going to take these wires here and just give myself a little bit of slack here. Give myself a chance to get this on, and then I'll tighten everything up. Make everything beautiful after that. like that. Now we're on. Let's go out front to the driveway. See if we can get it finished up there. Let's go. I'm going to take a second and just explain what is going on from my limited tractor knowledge, okay? New at this, but getting along quite good. So I've got the snowblower mounted. I don't have the PTO all the way engaged yet. We're going to do that. We're going to test it, make sure that everything is working good, hook up our light. But right now, I've got it, see, on the 3-point hitch where there's so much play in there. And that's because I had to back off the tensioners on the 3-point hitch just so that I could get it on there properly. And now I'm going to take up this slot. So from what I understand from 3-point hitch attachments is that you do not want this thing moving at all. In fact, when you have a weight box on, if it moves and your tractor goes into a lean and all of a sudden it slams in, it's going to contribute to you falling over, knocking it over. So you got to make sure that your implements are nice and tight. This right now has probably, I would dare say, 16 inches of play. So we've got to take up that slot. So I'm going to do it equally on the tractor. I'm going to make sure that the tractor that everything looks like it's equal from the rear and from the front. And I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm not going to get crazy about it. I'm going to eyeball it and make sure that everything looks okay. Because you don't want the snowblower hugging the one side of the tractor. So right now it looks like it's hugging the left. I'm going to back that off and tighten it from the other side just a bit. Okay. It's also really important that when you're not using these, when you're not actually making adjustments, that you get a piece of wire or clip or cotter pin or something that'll stay, and make sure that you lock these puppies down. Okay, so that's getting nice and tight there now. See that? It's moving the tractor now. It's nice and tight. Okay, I want to check and make sure that it's equalish. There we go. That's on there. All right, now let's address the PTO. Okay, so the last frame that you just saw, I was getting the snowblower adjusted on the tractor. And then I happened to be scrolling on Facebook, and I now belong to a page on Facebook which is, basically a forum of 1025E and 1025Rs. And I belong to a couple of other John Deere group pages. And they're a lot of fun. You get to see a lot of ideas on these pages. And one gentleman that I saw posting on there, he had installed some actuators on his blower. Because as you guys know, that with this particular 54, doesn't have the hydraulic kit or the electronic kit on it stock. It has, the big snow chute rod. You got to keep turning around and cranking with your arm. And that was fun for the year. But then I was like, I want to play around with this a little bit. So in the message board, or in the main page of that 1023E and 1025R Facebook group, there was a gentleman that had posted his retrofit to his blower. And it just gave me the idea. So I ran off to Princess Auto and grabbed an actuator, which is here on this side. And my buddy, Tim, had an extra, right angle electric motor. This is actually off of a piece of landing gear for a small airplane. And we came home and we came back to my place together, and we made I'll show it to you here. Let me grab it. We made kind of a mock-up bracket for this right angle mower, coming off of some of the factory bolts that's holding the chute in place. And so anyway, we made a little bit of a mock-up and put it all together, and it worked really, really well. I'm going to show it to you here in a second. So then my buddy Tim, he had stuff to do on his own. He had a caliper to do on his truck and some other things to get done. So I was kind of left to my own devices, my own OCD devices. And I took that bracket all off, measured it all up, and made one out of square pipe, a little bit of angle iron, a little bit more of an adjustable height. Got that motor really, really, really straight. And the great thing about what we've done here is I haven't at all messed up anything factory. I can put that pole right back on here. I'm using the same bushings and everything in this drive line. So I'm pretty happy with it. Let me show you how it works just a little bit. Let's go here. Let's throw the snow that way, and then it's reversible. Of course. So then you look on this side, and you got an actuator going up and down here. So this is pretty fun. With an auto off, by the way, which is great. I got all momentary switches to put on the tractor, so I'm not really worried about that. But and it does, obviously this actuator here moves a lot slower than this electric motor. But the reality is that an inch up here is a few feet on the other side of the snow, right? On the other side of the chute. So if I move it an inch here, it's probably moving another 10 feet out there. So you kind of want this motor to be a little bit slower. The other thing too is this battery's getting a little low now. Oh yeah. So here's the parts that you missed, because I went on without you. We built a bracket, a prototype, and then I went ahead and built a great big, thicker, more sturdy version of that bracket. Bolted it to some factory bolt positions. Did not drill any holes in the snowblower down here. This, on the snow chute, got an actuator. This was only 63 Canadian dollars. Drilled a couple holes, measured it out. This is the 8-inch actuator. And figured out where we wanted the holes, drilled the holes, put them in there with some spacers. It's perfect. So now what we're going to do is, and you're going to join me for this part, we're going to, I'm going to remove the bracket, I'm going to paint the bracket, and I'm going to let it dry while we're working on the tractor. I've got to do two things. Number one, I've got to figure out, am I going to use 2-wire and some of this, cable snake material, and just kind of join everything together in one main harness, bring it to the tractor, and come up with some quick disconnect electrically, which would be fine with like a 7-pin Berg connector or something like that. All I have here right now is 4 flats, but this is 3 wires coming off of this motor, 2 wires coming off of this motor, and this is what I installed last year, just a simple LED light mounted to the back of this. So in total, I've got 9 wires coming here, right? No, excuse me, I've got 7 wires. 3, 2, 2, that's 7. I don't know what I'm going to do back here quite yet. I'm going to think about it while we do this. But that's the first thing I got to do. Neaten up this wiring, make sure that it doesn't get in the way of any moving parts, and get it to the tractor. The second thing that I've got to do is I've got to find locations on the tractor for switches. I've got to run some wiring. And where the LED light and these electric motors are not, they're not drawing a lot of current, I'm going to run 1 wire from the battery compartment to the open station, and I'm going to piggyback power off of all of that. And I'm also going to fuse that to 30 amps. So that's going to be a bit of a chore because we got to run some cable through the tractor. All that being said, I may have left you all out on the building of this bracket and the fun that Tim and I were having putting this together. But it's going to be a lot more fun tearing apart the tractor and figuring out how we're going to run some wiring and getting it all soldered in there and getting this thing working right. So we're going to do typical Jonny, all things Jonny, a little bit of time lapsing because I want to try to get all this in the video. This might have to be 2 episodes. It just might have to be. I mean, this is a big deal. I'm excited. Let's get started. We're going to pull off these parts. Pull off this motor, the bracket, and we're going to get that all painted up. We're going to take the snowblower and store it outside and bring the tractor in. And I got to do a little bit of a cleanup. My mom and dad were here the other night. I swapped out their tires. I swapped out my brother's tires. Tim and I swapped out caliper on his truck. This garage right now is absolutely destroyed. So I can't work in it. I just got to tidy up a little bit, do all that off camera, and I'll spare you. But let's get started. This is going to be a really fun project. If you haven't done so already, please click that like and subscribe button. When you click that like button, it helps a lot more than what you think in terms of the YouTube algorithm. And leave a comment. I love reading the comments, and I love getting back to everybody. I'm having a great time with this channel. Meeting a lot of great people and getting a lot of cool messages, and it's a lot of fun. So let's get started. I shouldn't say that. That's a Tractor Time with Tim thing, isn't it? I guess everybody says that, right? It's just that, Tim has kind of like owned that. Let's get started. What's mine going to be? Let's hit it. Let's hit it. I don't know. Oh. Stuff here. This is the John Deere paint, and I don't know what they put in it. I don't even know who makes it. My neighbor and I, Dale and I, we looked all through this can, couldn't find out who makes it for John Deere. It just says that it's made for them. But whoever makes this stuff makes a great paint. I had welded on the chain hooks on my bucket, and not being an experienced welder, I grinded down a really big work area, and then I grinded off the slag and tried to make the welds look nice and pretty. And I also welded a backing plate on the bucket. And so from the inside and the outside, I had quite a bit of cover-up to do with paint. I use this. I bought it from the dealer here is Green Diamond, and I bought it from them and brought it home and didn't use a primer, didn't do anything. Just went, one little coat, waited a few minutes, let it get tacky, and did another coat. Then I let it dry real good, and that paint is still unmarked. It's unbelievable. I painted the ballast box in it, and I can't believe how that paint holds up. It's ridiculous. No rust has come through it. So anyway, I know that I'll probably get some comments saying, oh, you need to be priming that or whatever, the alcohol stuff that you can rub all over this and get it super, super clean. To be honest with you, I wipe it down a little bit. I'm going to hit that with paint, and it's not going to bug me at all. It's going to, it's going to look really nice for years. I just don't know what it is. It's strange, man. It's strange. Strange. Stuff over it. I want to paint everything green. In fact, I think I've got some paper left over here, which I can grab. Okay, I had to take a minute and clean up the garage. I mean, it was getting out of control. I couldn't work. I couldn't move. So I told myself, let's take an hour. Let's clean this up and get back to work here. I ended up taking 3 hours. Jake and I went and grabbed some lunch, and now I'm back. But here we are. I've got the side of the 1025 off from the engine compartment all the way to the battery compartment. I've taken off the right side rear tire. Because I'd like to take this fender off, and these black plastics are what come on the 1025R. That's what kind of separates the 1025 and the 1023. Is these creature comforts, the trimmings, the seat, the tilt steering, the lighting. I think that's about it. Tires, chassis, engine are all the same, I believe. There might be a difference in the hydraulic pump. Somebody put it down in the comments whether there's a difference in the hydraulics or not. In any case, the obvious difference when you walk up to a 1025 versus a 1023 are all the black trimmings and the lighting that's up here. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to mount those switches to control the rotation of the chute and then the angle of the chute. I think I'm going to put them down here next to where the 12-volt power supply is and the 3-point hitch lever. I think that's the coolest place to have it because ergonomically, when I'm snow blowing, I'm going to be turned this way, right? Kind of looking behind me or whatever. So I'd want those switches to be right there. I kind of move my whole body over to the that side of the tractor. I kind of use my left foot on the forward and reverse pedal, and we're all level ground here, so I don't really need to be babysitting the brake on my left hand side. So I kind of use my left foot over here and put the armrest up, and I'm almost rotated to the back of the tractor. So it would make sense to put the switches here. I don't want to put them up on the dash where my LED switch is for my snowblower's light because I don't want to knock them with my knees. It's bad enough I already hit the ignition, the key in the ignition with my knee. It's petrified. Someday I'm going to break that off. In any case, I had to take off the tire. I'm going to rip this fender apart. We're going to bring it to the bench. We're going to see where the best place to mount this is. And kind of, just guess. We got to get the wiring in here. We got to get the wiring run. But I'm guessing at this. This is, it's fun. Let's do it. All right. Okay, so this is the question. I've got to mount these switches inside here somewhere. I was thinking something like this by the handle. So the handle goes back on here. Okay, that won't work, but where could it work? I mean, it's only the switch that'll be sticking out, not the box, right? So would this work? But the question is, what's underneath it for backing? How much? Where can I get the voids? Man, it looks like it's pretty tight all around it, except for maybe where that lighter is. I might be able to put them there. Yeah, it doesn't look like I'll be able to put them there. Okay. let's go to the tractor and see where the voids are. I wonder if I could take this power. Yeah, I can take this power rig out for now. And that way I can, oh, maybe I can. That's in there like a bugger. There we go. This way I can just see what's going on here. Okay, let's go over to the tractor. Bend this just a little bit to get the 3-point hitch lever. So yeah, we don't have a lot of space to mess around here, because the rest of this comes right up flush and there is no space. So unless I drill through the fender as well, which is just another thing to take off. What about at the front? No, this piece of trim really does hug the fender. It really does hug the fender. There's a void here where that 12-volt power supply is. There's a void here where this cup holder is, and there's a void here. There really isn't an opportunity, unless I go through the plastic as well. To be honest with you, I just don't know how I'm going to do it. Okay, let's look at a couple other options here. Okay, so what I had to do here was just do a little relief cut in the factory plastic, which is, like I said before, if you were to buy a 1023, this is all you would see is this green with the cup holder and the storage container. But with the 1025R, it comes with this kind of extra plastic piece, which I've got the 2 toggle switches in here, which are momentary 6-pole for the devices in the back. And you can see I relief cut all through here as well. So the idea is that I will simply put this down over this section. Let me get the 3-point hitch lever through the hole here. I've been doing this by prying it through, and it works okay because I just can't get this plastic handle off, but you can see it all seats there perfectly. And then when I sit on the tractor, I am actually controlling this with my thumb. And the handle goes here. So just to simulate that. That's what it looks like. So the switches are protected. So I'm going to go ahead and do a bunch of soldering now. I got to solder some poles together, and so I can carry the power through both switches and run only one lead to the battery compartment. So let's get that done. let's test out these switches. Up and down. Oh yeah. Working good. Nice. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it is working. I can't believe it. I'm going to put the tractor back together now. There's about 15 centimeters of snow outside right now to get blown out of the yard. So we're going to do that. I'm going to get the tractor put back together. Might put the drone up for a minute while I do a little bit of snow blowing. See how it goes. Let's get it done. I'm excited. That's awesome to have that retrofit done and actually working. Well, folks, we got this done. It took me a few days. You'll notice my costume changes. I think that this is the single best upgrade you can do to the snowblower in the 1025R. This is a great snowblower stock, but it does suck that you're always cranking on the chute control. Not only that, in order to change the pitch, you have to get off the tractor, loosen those two nuts, and lift it manually. I saw this on one of the John Deere 1025 or 1023E 1025R blog, like Facebook pages. Somebody had done this, and I said, aha, that's my next project. So I bought, this actuator over at Princess Auto here in Canada, about 63 Canadian dollars. And the right angle motor was given to me by my friend Tim. Thanks, Tim. You're the man. That motor is originally a part of a landing gear system in a small airplane. A little bit of 2-wire, a couple of switches, and boom, we did it. The one thing I did learn out of this project, though, is to really invest some good time in bench testing. I didn't do that. I made a mistake with the switches. I've fixed that mistake now. And the whole reason was because my mind was a little confused during this whole project, because this is a 2-wire actuator and this is a 3-wire electric motor. So it has a common and 2 directional wires. So therefore I only needed to run positive to this switch, which I didn't know in the beginning. I ran positive and negative to the second switch that controls the 3-wire motor. I ended up heating up the motor quite a bit to where it smoked. So I stopped, disconnected, rethought it all out. I think I would have got around that had I properly bench tested everything, which I didn't. I drew it out. It made sense on paper. Sometimes what makes sense on paper isn't, practical. In any case, it works awesome. Check this out. Woohoo! Now, the actuator is a little bit slow for the chute, but the reality is an inch here is like 10 feet over there. So I like having that small articulate adjustment, right? Gentle corrections. So I'm really happy with this. If you want to do this, it's really easy. You need some 2-wire and you need a couple of motors and you need a couple of switches and a little bit of know-how. But I suggest if you got a different setup, maybe you have just a 2-wire electric motor. You get everything set up, even if you got temporary alligator clips with a battery and you do a bench test and you draw it out to be sure. Because once you get the switches in the tractor and you start soldering, it's a real pain in the butt because, you cut your cables kind of to length. You don't want them drooping down inside your wheel well, all of those different things. It's just harder to solder on the tractor. So you don't want to do it more than once. So I'm pretty happy if there was only some snow, because by the time I'm done filming this, it's raining outside and all the snow's gone. What can you do? I think I'm the only person that wishes that there was snow right now. See you on the next video.